share, and now I'm not where I would like to be. So I would tell me to just be a better steward of that. Don't give away the store.
That's excellent. And I will take that advice even now. I will take it even now. Jasmine, I think we are related. So that is excellent advice. And hopefully it will also be meaningful to someone listening, because that is excellent advice. You can't get it back. You can't get it back once that time has been wasted. So I want to say this, make this statement, and you fill it in. I am extremely grateful that.
And this one is probably easier because I wake up with this one. Literally, I tell you truly, I'm actually grateful to be here on the planet.
Okay.
Whether it was from getting something called Epstein-Barr in the 90s that they had no idea what it even is. I think it's like chronic fatigue syndrome is what they called it, but they didn't know what to do with it and for me. So I made it through that. And I thought I was home free. And then probably 2 years after that, another disease of unknown origin called sarcoidosis. They tell me I am the recipient of an acute case of sarcoid. So I spent the next 2 years just dealing with that. Then I thought I was home free, and then some nice lady helped me with a 6-month unplanned vacation while I recovered from broken pelvis in 4 places on a walker for 6 months. So coupled with some other lovely things that have happened in my life along the way, I'm here for a reason.
Yes, and absolutely.
So, I am just grateful to be here. And so I'm grateful to use my time and my mind and resources to help other people. So I think that's my gratitude every day. Because I almost wasn't.
How about that? Wasn't. That is absolutely the truth. And you know, one of the things that I say a lot is that just show up for your life. Show up for it. That means putting one foot in front of the other and showing up for your life. Because, you know, when you speak of someone or think of someone as an overcomer, as I do you tend to think of that in this grand scheme of things, like an overcomer is doing phenomenal things given great tragedy and adversity to that. But if you can just show up for your life today, you are an overcomer. So that is very valuable. And I hope that too is something that our listeners will definitely take heed to. Because even in this pandemic, it is, you know, the pandemic or COVID fatigue is happening. We are isolated. And so the need to show up is critical. It is critical. So that is a very important takeaway. So thank you for that. So what is my greatest fear is what?
Probably just leaving. It's probably my conscientiousness showing up again. Leaving things undone. Leaving some work that was assigned to me while I'm here on the planet, and I either missed it, because self-consumed or not consumed enough, or somebody needing something, calling out for help, and somehow I missed a signal to be some kind of help to someone else. I think that's everything else I could kind of manage and work around, but that's probably my biggest one, is somebody needed me, and somehow I missed it, and something adverse happens
as a result of missing it.
As a result of it, that'll do it to me.
Well, Jasmine, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
I certainly hope not. That would be it.
So, the most courageous thing I have ever done is?
Well, I like courageous. Courageous is a good word. I could think of some other words for this one. So, after a fun case of burnout, I now know that it was burnout and just boredom and probably a host of other things. I left my day job, good old 6-figure safety net day job, and I had a side hustle at the time, teaching voice lessons. I let go of the day job, no safety net anywhere else, and for 5 years, I taught voice lessons. The worst thing that after the burnout and just having to reset, for 5 years, the most that I could really take was to wake up and come to my piano, and the worst thing that could happen that day is somebody saying the wrong note or the wrong song.
Okay.
So that was courageous for me, because I like some of the security that can come from what it looks like when you're working a corporate job. And so that was the first time I'd ever been without a corporate job for 20 or so years. And so, yeah, I actually did that.
Do you regret having done that?
Absolutely not. If somebody said, what are some of the best times of your life? I'm a musician. When I'm not doing all this, I'm a musician. Man, I just did music. I did what I loved so I guess here's the nugget. I did what I loved every single day.
That's big. That's big, Jasmine.
Every day. For someone who, and yes, it was a trade-off. I traded off, I traded off some money. I traded off some connections to corporate America. It was a priceless period of my life that I would do. If I had no obstacles, I would do it again.
And that takes major courage. And the interesting thing is that some of us are finding ourselves doing something comparable to what you speak of here, not because we really had the audacity to pivot or the courage to do it, but because we've been thrusted into the unknown. So we have had to tap into another rendition of who we are. So that is definitely encouraging. Definitely. And I love the fact that you speak so passionately about that, and the fact that you have no regrets about having done that. It is absolutely amazing. And I think very encouraging for other people to hear that. Absolutely.
Oh, and I put it out there because I think there is somebody who's probably listening right at this moment. One of the biggest fears is the money. As soon as money gets involved, right? Especially if you've had some. And then you have to consider a trade-off on it, right? Oh, man, this could mean less of this or less of that. Maybe not. You may be pivoting to something that is wild and crazy, And it will turn out to be far more lucrative than perhaps staying in what is seemingly a secure yet and steady, but it's a treadmill. You're really not going anywhere. It's not bringing you any joy. I will tell you, Christy, there were moments where I'm like, now I'm not really sure how this mortgage is getting paid. And since I'm in an home, my business is my home as well. Oh, this is really interesting. Because should I lose said home, I guess I lose the business at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
But to your point, you're talking about creativity and being innovative. Boom! Those were some of my most innovative moments. I'm like, let me think about what I could do. And the next thing you know, here comes some new opportunity because an external force caused me to think more of me than I was initially.
How about that?
This one is big.
The external force. How big is that? That is a major consideration. Jasmine, you are hitting on some great points here. And I hope that our listeners are definitely taking notes and that they will go back through this and take them if they have not. I want to ask one final question. The most impactful age of growth for me was...
I am going to have to go. It was definitely middle age, so it was by the time, it's probably my early 40s. Because at that time, I had enough data. So in the 20s, I was all, I'm fresh out of college and woohoo, life, and the world is my oyster. Okay, well, no, it didn't actually turn out like that when I was in my 20s and took my first job with a college degree at $5.85 an hour. Okay, so then there was that. Then the 30s, I made some headway, but got kind of jaded. Hey, this whole work thing, some of this is a lie, and I've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. Some of my personal relationships during the 20s and 30s, I'm like, oh my, this is a wreck. But by my early 40s, I had enough data about life. I had enough real deal. Mm-hmm. Here's how this really goes. Okay, so not was in Elle magazine and Essence and anywhere else. Here's how this really goes. And it was I got there, and the growth came from taking off some of weird expectations I picked up somewhere, but putting on self-efficacy. It was that period where I figured out that I knew what I was good at, but then I also knew you're not so good at this stuff over here. Mm-hmm. So I stopped working on, it was during my 40s, I stopped working on weaknesses. I started focusing on you're already good at this. What would it take to be better at it? Or what would it take to pursue some of these other things that you've always wanted to do, but kept doing stuff because it probably make your mom happy.
That's major. That is definitely major. And what's important about what you just said was that how we tend to focus on. Okay, there's a couple of things that I got from what you said. You can be good at something, but you may want to focus on what you're better at. That's one thing. And I think in this world of positivity and positive psychology, which, is a thing relatively new to the psychology portfolio, we are really honing in on this positive psychology and hear me when I say I am not, supporting the idea of being negative, but I think what's getting missed is that we're not being honest with ourselves. And we tend to believe that we can do everything well and we are great at anything that we set out to do. And the truth is, that's not true. So when you say, understanding in your 40s that you knew, or you got to the place where you knew what you were good at and you focused on that and you hone in on that, that is very, very necessary information for people to process.